Happy Sunday morning. View from the Pugh, the podcast. I'm Chris Pugh. Hey, before we continue, give us a like and subscribe to the podcast. Lots of fun stuff, and you get to hear from me and my friends as we just try to have fun, share some pop culture, sports, and sometimes some serious stuff. Check us out, and thanks for checking in today. I wanted to just give a couple thoughts on some sports things that I thought was interesting over the past couple of days. The great Gregg Popovich is leaving his role as a coach for the San Antonio Spurs. Man, he has been there for a long time, close to 20 years as a coach. But, health has kind of caught up with him a little bit. He had a stroke in November, and, it was time for him to transition. So he's taking on a full-time role as the team's president of basketball operation. He'll still be there, but there's going to be a little bit of change. Mitch Johnson, who was the acting head coach of the Spurs, is going to take on the head coaching duties permanently. Gregg Popovich has been a long time contributor to basketball. He'll still be able to contribute in his new role. But think of it, man, he was a long time with the USA basketball team. A long time with the Spurs. He coached a lot of great players for the Spurs. Think about David Robinson. Think about Tim Duncan. Think about all the other guys from that championship team. Think of Tony Parker, Manu Ginóbili. Just a bunch of good players. And they're saying he's going to continue to be a vital member of the franchise's day-by-day operations. And that's smart. That's smart for the Spurs. Popovich has got a lot to say. I know he's getting older, but he still has done a really good job for the Spurs. And it's kind of a transition time for the Spurs, too. They've got a lot of younger players, most notably Victor Wembanyama. And they're trying to think of how to build a team around him. What can they do? And it might be time for another voice from the head coaching side, but you still got Popovich behind the scenes. I think it's a really good move for the Spurs. And it'll establish continuity, too, which is really good. Popovich is 76. He started his Spurs career. He was assistant coach under Larry Brown in 1988. He also served under the Golden State Warriors for a brief stint. And he joined the front office in 94 and became the head coach in 1996. So, he started in 96. He's almost been the coach here for 30 years. Isn't that crazy? And he's done a lot for the Spurs. Not only Duncan, Robinson, Parker, Ginóbili, but also Kawhi Leonard. 5 NBA titles as well, too. And you can sit there and say, well, other guys may have had more. Well, he did that with a variety of group of guys, too. It's not just one guy. You look at guys like Bill Belichick. His championships came with Tom Brady, didn't come with other people. It seemed like Popovich did it with, several different players, which I think makes what he did even more. Very interesting. Wembanyama had a tweet talking about, hey, coach, thank you for your wisdom, your leadership, and the culture. And most importantly, for being a great and inspiring person as well. I liked Popovich not just for what he did on the court, but what he did outside the court. We live in a world where we're like, hey, stick to sports. But, people respect and admire what Popovich says. And with some of the craziness happening politically, Popovich kind of called it out sometimes. And I know some people didn't like that. And I know if you don't agree with his politics, you may not agree with that too. But it takes someone willing to step up and say, look, here are my feelings and opinions on something. And I thought it was important for him to do that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Spurs now. Spurs are one of those teams in transitions. They're kind of rebuilding a little bit. They got a little bit of flavor with Wembanyama. They got some good young players, but what's their next step? Some people say, could it be Kevin Durant? Some people think maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can't even say the guy's name right. Will he be the next step for the Spurs? Who knows? But just that end of an era. Popovich has meant a lot to the Spurs. He's been a lot to the NBA, and just really impressed by what he's done basketball-wise. He's a true legend. It's great to see him. Kind of moving to something we know more about, and we talk a lot more about here on this podcast network, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They played well in the Popovich thing. You're like, why? Well, right now, Popovich was the head coach for the longest time in all pro sports. Sports now, it seems like if you don't work out for a year or two, you're gone as a coach. Popovich has been there since '96. So who's the next serving longest coach? It's our friend Mike Tomlin. Coach Tomlin for the Steelers is entering his 19th year as a head coach for the Steelers. And the Steelers are in a weird time. They've won, had a winning record every year that Tomlin has been coached. Been pretty impressive, not just for Tomlin, but for the team. I know that stat gets mocked, but in this era of, hey, we're just going to stink for a couple of years, the Steelers have at least maintained a winning record tradition. We've said this before, and you don't even have to listen to this podcast to know it. Yeah, it's a tradition that, they're kind of stuck in the middle ranks. And sometimes you can make arguments better if you fall back and rebuild for a while and you get to be a championship team. The Steelers aren't that right now. And, there's a huge faction out there that says, hey, let's get rid of Mike Tomlin. He stinks. Well, here's my issue with that. It's easy to want to get rid of somebody. It's easy to want to make changes. You might not like your work, and you say, man, I got to find a new job. Well, you got to make sure the change you want to make or the next job you want to find is a better fit than what you have right now. Sometimes it's not. And speaking for the Steelers, that's my fear in looking at, the possibility of changing Mike Tomlin. I think he's kind of fallen into a little bit of a lull of, he wants to win more, but he kind of knows he's kind of fallen to a kind of a nice, comfy presence where, 9-8 and 10-7 are pretty easy. How do you push yourself to that next level? And yes, I totally get that. And that's a problem. So how do you get better? And the thing that I think the challenge is for the Steelers, but for Omar Khan and the Rooney family, is how do we push them to the next level? Not just be happy with the 9-8 and 10-7, but how do we become even better? What's that next step needed to take? I'm not certain it's Mike Tomlin. I'm not in the let's fire Mike Tomlin standpoint. But then on the other hand, I want to see what's that next step forward. You look at the Steelers now. What's holding them back? Yeah, quarterback, sure. What quarterbacks are out there that are going to make him eons better? The only one I can even make an argument about is potential Aaron Rodgers. We've been there. We've done that. We've talked about that a million times. But really, other than Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even sure even if Aaron Rodgers is going to lean past the other teams in the NFC. So you've got a lot of free agent quarterbacks that are, they're okay. You had draft class that I don't think it was terrible in terms of quarterbacks, but with the exception of Cam Ward, I don't know if there's anybody even out there that teams trust to immediately come in and become a starter and make a huge difference. And I'm not even sure if Cam Ward can make a huge difference in 1 year for the Titans. So going back to the Steelers, you figure out what's that magic bullet to get better. Well, the quarterback, there's not a quarterback available that's going to do it. Steelers, I thought, improved themselves on the defensive line with some of the guys that got in the draft. Is that the magic bullet? Probably not. So I think the challenge that the Rooneys, Omar Khan, and Mike Tomlin have to face is just sitting there and saying, how do we challenge ourselves to get better? Yeah, the nature of that team, they don't blow things up. They just try to put their best foot forward every year. So how do we, what's that best path forward? What's that best plan forward? And for all the changes the Steelers seem to make year after year, I'm not sure if they have that in place. And that's one thing I'm really looking for this year. What's that step forward? Are we going to start a young quarterback? I hear some talk that Will Howard might be in line for starting. I'm not sure if that's the smartest idea, but what's the idea to say, here's our path. We're going to do this, and we're going to try to get better. I don't know, but I'm really intently wanting to follow it and see what happens. Final note today, just a little bit of a hat tip. Wasn't the best Steeler, but one of my favorite Steelers retired the other day. L.J. Fort. Love the guy. The Steelers for a long time were in the mix of, very classic, hard-hitting linebackers. And sometimes these linebackers were always the fastest. But L.J. Fort was one of the first Steelers linebackers I remember that really was a fast guy. Brought some speed. Really good player. Wasn't always a full-time starter. Never was a all-pro or Pro Bowler, but I liked the guy. I liked his play. He had some good years for the Steelers. He went to the Ravens, had some good years there. And, time passed him by. I think he played a little bit for the Eagles, too. And he's retired. So good luck to LJ Fort in the future. I always admired his play. Thank you again for checking out View from the Pew, the podcast. I'm Chris Pugh. Again, we provide you content most every day. Again, not just me. Craig Schaub does some movie podcasts. We have a lot of friends that come in to talk about everything from pop culture to sports to some of the silly stories out there. We try and have some fun. If you want, I'm a journalist. My main gig is with WSYX, the ABC Fox affiliates in Columbus. I'm a producer over there. I'm always open to pitches. If it's something relating to Columbus or Ohio, I'll try and pitch that story to our TV station. But if it's something outside that makes a great story, let us know. We'd love to feature your story on an upcoming podcast, feature you as a guest. We are a labor of love. Excuse me. We're a labor of love. And we also welcome, if you like to learn how to be a podcaster, something you want to have fun and talk about, contact me as well. So my email address, Chris Pugh, CHRISPUGH, the number 33 at gmail.com. Email me for more information. But most importantly, send me subscribe, like, send me a note, and we'll have fun. Thanks for checking us out. We'll be back tomorrow for some more thoughts. Have a great day.